Welcome to Bright Old Testament 508, the Pentateuch. This is the introductory video for the Pentateuch, covering the 5 books of Moses, taught at the Blue Ridge Institute for Theological Education, online and in Roanoke, Virginia. Let's go ahead and dive in as we talk about this upcoming course, as we talk about the requirements and what it is that you can expect as you take this course. As you will find in the syllabus, the purpose of this course is to present an overview of the major themes of the Pentateuch, examining how all these themes of the 5 various books integrate into the theology of the Pentateuch as a whole, but also into the theology of the Old Testament as a whole, and the history of Israel, and especially as we understand the covenantal relationship between God and man that's revealed in these first 5 books. Ultimately, the purpose of this class is to lay a foundation for the gospel, as it's revealed in Jesus Christ, revealed in the New Testament, but also to see the gospel of Jesus Christ revealed in the Old Testament. The emphasis in this class is going to be upon the macro and micro themes, the macro and micro structure of each book, the overall structure of the Pentateuch, as well as literary genre of each of the 5 books of the Pentateuch, and the theology of each book as they fit into the theology of the 5 books as a whole. The emphasis in terms of competency is going to be upon academic writing, thoughtful reflection, research, and a well-defended response to those positions that we put forward. These will each be demonstrated in the lectures in terms of content, but then in the competency as you write your papers and take your exams. For those of you who are taking the class for credit, you will find the grading scale listed in the syllabus. All students need to watch the lectures prior to coming to class. There will be 1 lecture for each class. You will watch the lecture and then notify the professor that you have watched it. You will receive 2% of your final grade from actually watching the lecture before you come to class, 6% total. There are also 2 books to read, which will be reviewed in the next slide. You will write a book review on each of these books, reading the book and then writing the review and giving it to the professor by the end of the semester. 5% for each review, 10% total. There is a rubric and an example for the book reviews found at the end of the syllabus. There are 2 lead-up papers that will feed into your final paper, but these are individual papers, not just bullet-pointed ideas. You will write these 2 papers, one due before class 2, one due before class 3. This is a way to show the professor your work and the direction that your thesis is headed, a way for me to offer feedback to you as you begin working on your final paper. The final paper itself is worth 20%, and that is the culmination of the 2 lead-up papers, as well as other information that you will find in the syllabus. There are 3 exams taken after each class. There's an exam after class 1, due before class 2, an exam after class 2, due before class 3, and an exam due after class 3 before the end of the semester, the date listed in the syllabus. Each of these exams is not cumulative, but will cover the information from the prior class. So exam 1 will cover information from class 1. Reminder, there is a general knowledge exam, not graded, but it is due by the 2nd class meeting. This is a way for you to determine if you need to read the general introduction to the Old Testament that is provided in the syllabus, or if you can skip that part because your knowledge of the Old Testament, specifically the Pentateuch, is sufficient. Again, not a graded exam, no pressure, just simply to see if you need to do the extra reading of the 3rd book that is located on the next slide. There are 2 required textbooks for this class. L. Michael Morales' Who Shall Ascend the Mountain of the Lord. L. Michael Morales is a professor at Greenville Seminary. This is a very good book on an overview of the Pentateuch, as well as the emphasis upon the Day of Atonement in the book of Leviticus. Because of this book, Leviticus has become perhaps my favorite book in the Pentateuch. We'll also be reading T.D. Alexander's From Paradise to Promised Land, which is a very good overview of the Pentateuch. And if, for whatever reason, you didn't do so well on the initial knowledge exam, you can also read Gordon Wenham's Exploring the Old Testament, a guide to the Pentateuch. That's if you didn't pass that entrance exam. There's also a list of recommended reading in the syllabus, certainly not required, but if you wish to take your knowledge deeper or to use any of those resources on your paper, they are available for you. They're listed in the syllabus. Again, you'll write a book review on Who Shall Ascend the Mountain of the Lord and From Paradise to Promised Land. The rubric and the explanation and example is in the syllabus. Looking forward to a great class. We'll see you soon. The Blue Ridge Institute does not have prerequisites for this class, so it is very possible that you are taking this class on Hebrew poetry without actually having studied Hebrew. That's okay. I'm going to explain everything you need to know within the class. You're just going to have to take my word for it because you don't know Hebrew. Although let me take this opportunity to plug the summer Hebrew class and recommend highly that you take it. If you do know Hebrew, you will find on Canvas, along with everything else that you need for this class, you will find some recommended exercises and quizzes and vocabulary in order to push along your knowledge of Hebrew and to help you see the value of Hebrew as it relates to these particular books. Again, not required. It's there for your benefit, although I do advise that you take advantage of it. And again, for those of you who don't know Hebrew, I continue to push that you should learn Hebrew. It's nowhere near as hard as everybody makes it out to be. It's actually quite simple. You should take the class and then you'll be able to benefit from these extra exercises as well. Well, that brings us to the end of this introductory lecture. Hopefully I've covered everything that you would have questions about, but if you still have a question, feel free to email me or call me or text me, and I will answer your question more directly.